Hey guys, my name is Ryan Smith and I'm a commercial product photographer in the playing card community. Today, in collaboration with Cherry Casino Playing Cards, I get to share with you a little bit about the how and why I do what I do. So I often get asked, especially outside the playing card world, why playing cards? Out of anything that you could shoot, why those? And I actually didn't get started in my journey with photography shooting product. I actually started doing travel, landscapes, moved into a little bit of portrait, and even behind the scenes photography for film. Then a couple years ago, as we moved into a pandemic, travel came to a halt. People were less and less likely to come out and get their portraits taken, and film shoots were fewer and far between. I didn't want to stop shooting, so I looked towards a current passion of mine, collecting playing cards, and I decided then that I wanted to take a crack at product photography. Playing cards are my form of collecting art, so taking pictures of them felt like a great way for not only me to appreciate them, but to maybe help others appreciate them as well. I dove headfirst, and over the last couple years, I've been able to develop a portfolio and an awesome relationship with some great people across all aspects of the community. I get a lot of questions often about the how I do what I do. There's a huge assumption across the board, I think, in terms of taking professional looking product photography. And that is that it takes a ton of money and gear to put out great shots. And that's just not the case. You don't have to have a lot of money and you don't have to have a lot of gear to put out great shots. This has rung true for me all the way up to this point. I get comments all the time saying, you must have the newest expensive camera, or how elaborate is your lighting rig, or must be great to have studio space. That's just not a reality for me at this time. As far as my gear goes, I use my Canon 7D. This 13-year-old beauty has been a staple of my kit from the beginning. I use a couple different lenses, but when I'm shooting cards, I primarily use my 50mm 1.8. I also consider a tripod and a diffuser/reflector set as a must-have for my kit. When I shoot locked down onto a tripod with a 2-second shutter delay so that I can eliminate any movement or shake from my pictures. Now remember, if your subject and your camera are completely still, makes for a great combination for some of that really crisp focus. Another question I get in regards to the how I shoot is, how do you style the shots? When I'm styling a deck that I have to shoot, I try and ask myself, does this deck tell a story? By that, I mean, does it have an apparent theme? For instance, does it have a music theme? Is it nautical? Maybe it's food themed, could be coffee. And then if it does, I simply just try and complement the story that deck is already telling. If there isn't an apparent theme or story, then I ask myself, what do I want somebody looking at this picture to feel when they see it? Because I think it's easy to lay a deck of cards down onto some props or some paper of light color and let it blend into the background. But when I style a shoot, I want that deck of cards to feel at home in that frame. And sometimes that just means styling towards a specific feeling. That could look like maybe contrasting colors to help that deck pop, or maybe really pushing the textures to the max. That could also determine what temperature the shoot needs to be, because sometimes warm and cozy or dark and moody doesn't work for that shot. Sometimes we do need a bright backdrop to really make those colors pop. Those are all things that I need to think about. Once I know what temperature I want, I go out and find the light. Like I mentioned before, you don't need an elaborate lighting rig to shoot great shots, so I do most of mine by natural window light. Yes, that means that I am limited to time of day and location, but after a while, you start to look at light through a different perspective, and it makes it a lot easier to see opportunities where you might not have seen them before. So sometimes I walk past a table or another piece of furniture, either at home or at work, and I decide right then and there, that's where I'm gonna shoot that next set. After that, I make sure that I have layers. I think it's important to bring depth to the shot, so I try and make sure I have use of props or items that lift the deck off of the surface. Sometimes that could mean putting cards inside something, or shooting through or around an object, Or sometimes that's just putting an object in between the lens and the subject that you're shooting. Lastly, I want to make sure that I get all the shots needed to properly show off that deck or accentuate its features. I try and make sure that I have all the typical angles as well as any other shots that might make that deck look really, really good. For me, the point is to have somebody who sees my shot say, I have to have that. Well guys, that's all the time that I have, but remember, whether you are trying to have more epic grid on Instagram or you're wanting to get into product photography, you don't have to spend a ton of money to get started. Keep shooting constantly, and if you focus on being better than you were last week, you're gonna rock it. Thank you so much for watching, and a huge thank you to Cherry Casino Playing Cards for this opportunity. If you haven't got your hands on some, please check them out at Murphy's Magic or your favorite retailer. I mean, we're talking 10 plus colors, crushed B stock from USPCC, and you can't help but love that iconic design. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to check out my Instagram at rsmithcreative. See you around.